Talk to me, Cleveland. This is Kevin Chillhurt, and welcome to Chill Talk. Man, we have a very special show today. Unfortunately, we do not have the super producer, Felicia Haney, in the building. Uh, she's down right now, but she promised that she'll be back. But as a guest co-host, we have the very esteemed Professor Justice. Is it B Hill?
Yes.
Justice B. How are you doing, sir?
Kevin, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Doing well.
Could you introduce yourself to the Chill Talk audience? Let the people know who you are. Give yourself some accolades.
Absolutely. I'm not gonna brag. I'm not gonna brag. Uh, I'm I don't want to say retired college professor. I'm a professor who walked away from teaching at Ohio University to travel the world. I spent you know, more than 30 years in journalism as a combination educator and sports writer and sports editor. So I've done a lot of things since in my career. And in 2019, I decided to walk away, and I've been traveling the world ever since.
All right, and I do want the people to know we're giving away free move. First of all, last week for the people we gave away tickets to the Motor City Magic Review, the Motown Review that was in Cleveland Heights at the Civic, and it was another phenomenal show. We gave away tickets. I saw the people that won tickets on Chill Talk. I saw them at the show. Even people who were out of town, because we have a lot of national and sometimes international viewers, and we had some people that were out of state, a couple of people that were in Tennessee and in Nashville who won tickets watching, and they bequeathed their tickets to people in Cleveland, and I saw those people at the show. So congratulations to the people that won tickets. Free tickets last week, but we have new tickets to give away. We have tickets to the movie King Richard. Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena, starring Will Smith. I heard this is a very powerful performance. Felicia saw it last week. I was unable to go to the media screening, but Felicia said it was phenomenal. And the word is that Will Smith, despite the fact that me and him still have some things to work out, that he is maybe looking at an Oscar nomination. So anybody who wants to win those free tickets, we have 5 pairs of passes. So
he was on NPR today talking about the
movie
and his book. His book is out, and it's gotten high marks as well, Kevin.
Excellent. So the film is going to be shown on Monday at Regal Park, Crocker Park, Monday the 15th, 7 p.m. So if you want to win those tickets, stay tuned. Also, a couple of weeks ago, we had two shows ago, we had a family of authors. We had a mom, Nikki Gregory, and we had a daughter, Randall Gregory. Both encouraged each other to write books. I have the books. Randall's book of poetry, her book of poetry is called Chasing the Roots of My Heritage. And her mom wrote a children's book, Lotus, the Vice POTUS. Inspired by the true story of Madam Vice President Kamala Harris by Nikki Gregory. I have mine. It's signed to me, Felicia. They sent to Felicia, and we gave away both of these books at the concert on Saturday, and that's thanks to my brother Tremaine at Hard Pivot Financial. He jumped out there and purchased 2 books for us to give away at the event. And so it was an excellent event. Now, before we get down with our guests, Brother Hill, you know, near and dear to me, you said you're a traveler, but you traveled to Egypt. And and I will share with the audience. People know that from time to time I do a tour of the Egyptian gallery at my beloved Cleveland Museum of Art, and Brother Justice Hill, Professor Hill, went on that tour, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna check your information when I actually go to Egypt to see how on point you were." But man, he went to Egypt, and I know. Tell us about the experience real quick.
Well, you can't. And one of the things I tell people, and you've heard me say this before, is that as Americans, especially as Black Americans, we have to understand that there's a world beyond Cleveland and Ohio and things like that. And you can't really get a sense of who you are without going back to the mother country. I mean, I didn't go to Black Africa. Egypt is more of the Middle East than anything else.
Currently,
but the history is so rich compared to us that, I mean, you're just overloaded with all these experiences that I really can't, I don't really have the words to describe it, because you read about it, or you've seen pictures of the pyramids and of the Sphinx and things like that, but to actually go there and to be able to touch it and to walk on or walk inside the pyramids is just an amazing experience. And the people, I mean, differences, you know, every country has differences, and once you wipe away those differences and really sit down and talk to people, you find there's a universalness about a lot of people in this world. And the Egyptian people were just so friendly to me. I don't know how they are to other people, but they were really friendly to me. And I went with my, a young cousin. He's 21. He was just blown away by the experience. It's just too much history to not be fascinated by it, Kevin.
And not only did you immerse yourself in there, you made friends with the family of people who operate the camel, the camel ride around the Great Pyramids at the Giza Plateau.
As I told you, I mean, that family invited us to their house. They cooked a meal for us. They wanted us to get out of the hotel and come live with them. Say, hey, don't stay in the hotel. Come stay with us. If we hadn't already prepaid for the room, we would have done that. A really nice house in the heart I mean, it's just a wonderful, it's that kind of generosity you won't see in this country.
Right. I do want to say hello to Lewis Joyner, who's watching, and Frederick White. Now, Frederick White won tickets to the concert, and he's in Nashville, Tennessee. But he's there now. So he bequeathed his tickets to his brother. And I did see his brother at the show. So indeed, his brother showed up and used the tickets. But you and Serge, everybody knows Fred White by his rap name around here, Serge, acronym Serious Effects Rhymes Given Education. We have some more tickets to give away for the film on Monday, and you are still eligible to win them. Although we know that you can't show up to Cleveland to watch the show, you can you can hook it up for whoever you want to, and that's for anybody else who are non-Clevelanders, who are, because we appreciate our national as well as our international audience, as we are proud to be here with Professor Justice Hill. Man, this is good. And one of the reasons that I asked Justice, and he so graciously agreed to join me at the last minute. Y'all know how I do it. When you get a call from me on a Wednesday, it's always a chance I'm asking you to come on the show. But
I'm disappointed he hadn't asked me earlier, to be honest. You know, what were you waiting for?
Well, you know, we went back to our regulars. We went to Ed Jr. first, and then we went to Michelle Person, who is known as the ChillTalk principal. So I went to my, but you're on the list now. Well, we're gonna see how you do. Like you told me, we're gonna like
the tour. Yes. But don't forget, after I had the tour, and I told everybody, I said he was better than advertised on that Egyptian tour of the Cleveland Art Museum.
Right, and again, as always, as I tell everybody, I have a lot to learn. I'm still a student, and my Medu Netter teacher, my Seba, Wu Jiao, I know I still owe you a test to complete my test with you. We working on it. I got some things to do here. But yeah, still a student, still learning, always more to learn. But I do enjoy going to the museum, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and hanging out and sharing information, not just about the gallery, but the history of the museum and the history of the Egyptian gallery as a part of the Cleveland Museum. It has over, it's a whole over 100 years old in the Cleveland Museum of Art. The Egyptian gallery in the museum is over 100 years old.
So, are you surprised that they don't do, because of where it's located, that they don't do a better job of trying to get young people of color to go into that facility, Kevin?
That is a good question. And I know people are working on the diversity of people coming in, of young Black kids coming in. I mean, obviously the museum, the Cleveland Museum of Art is in a Black area.
Yeah.
They're surrounded by brothers and sisters where the art is at, the Museum of Art is at. So, always hashtag when I'm there, artists for us, artists for everybody. So we will continue to work on, at least on my end, getting some people down there to see the various things, as well as my beloved Egyptian gallery. But right now, one of the reasons we're talking about education, especially Black teachers, Black male teachers, is one of the main reasons that I wanted to reach out to Professor Hill. And pardon me because we don't have the producer here today. I'm so used to rocking with Felicia. And by the way, this is our 79th episode in quarantine since we have not been at the radio station.
Yeah.
So wow. since we had to leave the radio station, we had to leave Radio 1 due to the pandemic. We have not yet been approved to go back in. This is our 79th show, not at the radio station. Now it could be the 80th, 81st, 82nd, because sometimes I might mess up on the numbers. But I'm rocking with 79 right now, Professor Hill. But what we're going to do, we're going to bring in our guest. Let me pull up some information. Just excuse me. And we will have Brother Bruce Ransom from Black Men Teach and the Cleveland Alliance of Black Educators, Black School Educators. So we're going to see if we can get Brother Bruce in as I bring him into the room. Let's see what we have here. And at some point in time, we're gonna get Brother Bruce and Professor Hill maybe to come up with a question that would win you the free ticket. All right, I think we have Brother Bruce Ransom in. We don't have we don't see him, and he's on mute. So Brother Ransom, if you can hear me, please unmute. Okay, he is unmuted. All right, there we go. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing? And welcome to Chill Talk.
I am well, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity that you have given us. Would you prefer Chill as how I refer to you?
You can call me Kevin, and you can call me Chill. I answer them both.
I call him Kevin. I don't call him Chill.
Hey,
okay.
As long as I get to talk, the show's called Chill Talk. So long as Chill gets to talk, no. But you are the guest, and so no, Kevin or Chill is either one is fine with me. As we, and thanks to Pam Mason for putting me in contact with you. She also won tickets last week and was at the show on Saturday. So thanks to her for putting us in contact with you. And as I said earlier, you were part of an organization called Black Men Teach and the Cleveland Alliance of Black School Educators. Tell us a little bit about, and by the way, we have Professor Justice Hill guest co-hosting with us. So he'll be joining in, and hopefully we will get enlightened on some information about Black men teaching.
Okay, well, thank you again for the opportunity. So a short bio, I am a Cleveland Metropolitan School District teacher. I've been in the district for 27 years, and I currently teach government, and I've also been in administration. And we are a part of Metro CAPSI, which you stated, and Black Men Teach is an initiative that we've been doing for about a year. And the whole purpose of this initiative is to increase the number of African-American male educators in the classroom. And one of the things that we initially did when we started this initiative up is we asked individuals, male or female, if they can remember the last time or the first time really that they had an African-American teacher throughout their career. It could be K through 12, it could be college. Most people did not have an African-American teacher until high school if they were fortunate enough to have that. And one of our big things with our theory of action is we want to encourage the school districts in the greater Cleveland area to not just simply hire more African-American teachers, but to put conditions in place to retain them. Because anecdotally, the information has been out there for years. The African-American children, and particularly boys, do better when they have African-American teachers, someone to look at, someone who might have experienced many of the same things they've experienced in life. And our purpose is to gain community partners such as yourself to get the word out, and not only to get the word out, but again, to make actions come into reality. So we want to get youth enrichment programs and outreach programs and let them know it's not an uncool thing to be a teacher. Most people look at athletes, entertainers, they're not bad people. They have good discipline, they have things like that, but they don't seem to understand the odds are against you in those fields. So I'm not going to monopolize, but if you want to ask questions, feel free. I could talk on and on, but you said your name is Chill, so you get to talk more than me. So I'm gonna be quiet.
No. You are the guest. That was just in reference to whether you want to call me Chill or Kevin. You are the guest, and I already see that Professor Hill wants to jump in there. Go ahead, Professor.
Do you think the Cleveland Metropolitan School District specifically is committed to bringing in more Black male professors?
Okay, I will say this. Having been in the district for 27 years, I've seen a lot of people hired. I've seen a lot of people move up. I've seen a lot of people move out. In our school district, we have mechanisms in place to hire people of color, but honestly, I don't think that it's a concerted effort out there. I am fortunate enough where I am, and the reason why I think I'm fortunate, I'm in a school that has combined 3 schools. So we probably have more African-American males per capita, so to speak, than any other school. But most of the gentlemen who are in Black Men Teach, they're in schools and they're one of 2, maybe 3 African-American teachers in the building. And it's not just simply teachers. Again, although we're called Black Male Teach and we're on the front line, we're looking at everybody as a teacher that's in education. We're looking at the paraprofessionals. We're looking at the custodian. Anybody who touches our kids' lives, who cares about them and their subject matter and has some life experiences and some lessons to help our kids navigate, of course, the curriculum, but the real world, those are the gentlemen that we are interested in having in our ranks to do the work. And again, even though I am a member proudly of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, it's beyond the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Metro CAPSI touches about 10 school districts in Northeast Ohio. And I'll name some others. Richmond Heights is a part of our network, so to speak. Warrensville, East Cleveland, Bedford. I've just named a few. And I would encourage individuals on this radio show to go to our website, Metro, METRO, CAPSI, CABSE. It is currently a .com, but we are in the process of changing it over to .org because we are going to be a 501(c) nonprofit organization. So let it be known that we're reaching out to not only those individuals and those groups. We also are proud that we had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go to Cleveland State University. We met with Camera. They are 20 plus school districts whose primary purpose is recruiting minority educators. And those are connections that we are making so that we can spread out beyond Cleveland to touch the lives of students.
Okay, now go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Professor Hill.
One of the real challenges, certainly, and I've seen it from the college level, is that the colleges of education aren't bringing enough Black males in to fill the positions that they do have. And the reason I wonder about the commitment of Cleveland Metropolitan School District, they've lost a lot of really good assistant principals, a couple that I know of, who walked away because they didn't feel that they had the support that they needed. So if you don't have people who you can keep, and there's not a pool of people, Black males coming in, you're really stealing from each other, or you've got to come up with more creative ways of producing or creating teachers and giving them an environment in which they can succeed. And I don't know, in Cleveland, in my opinion, I just don't think that's happening.
Well, and just real quick, to piggyback on what Professor Hill said, I wanted to add that one of our viewers, listeners, my big brother Vince Robinson, just chimed in also and said he's watching the show and said more work needs to be done in terms of inclusion. And he is absolutely right. But Mr. Robinson, if you Ransom, if you want to speak on that to what Professor Hill just said, please do so.
Yeah, I'll touch on the point about the very small number of African-American educators, period, males even less so. So I agree with you that it needs to be a multi-purpose approach. And that is why we are going to, in the coming months, we already have some connection with the school district. I'm not going to name them at this point, where we're going to actually go in and talk to some students. This is before they are ready to be teachers per se. And we're going to have some opportunities to sit down with some young men. And we're hopefully going to have some opportunities to build some bridges with them, kind of like big brothers in a sense, and start getting in their ear when they're young to say, education is cool because this, and this, and this. And this is a way to give back. So that's one approach. Another approach would be, indeed, you mentioned that a lot of people were assistant principals and they left. Well, many African-American males who've spoken to me often say that they're often looked at as the disciplinarian in the building. And that weighs down a lot of brothers right there, because although they might be good at it, they didn't necessarily go to school in order to be the second principal or assistant principal on a faculty or a staff.
Or the security guard.
Where people are sending the kids that aren't doing right to their classrooms, although many of them happily take on that extra responsibility out of their love and passion for the students of what they're doing. So what Metro CAPC and Black Male Teach, what we also want to do as part of that retain part is build fellowship with the brothers so that we can have a talk after school with people who have similar experiences to help uplift one another. And in those various school districts, again, we want to make it known that we want to be a part of the process. And one of the things we've done is we've created some questions. Those questions have gone to the HR directors, and we're asking them to help us tweak our questions to see what are they doing actually to hire, what are they doing to retain, do they really have the serious nature of wanting to get more African-American males? Because you can say it, but actions are louder than words. And that's a few of the approaches. Again, the colleges, university. We're going to be at an HBCU fair next month. Metro CAPC is a 40-year organization this December, if you gentlemen don't know that. So again, we're going to talk to our HBCUs, and we're going to be trying to get some of those young men who are going to be college graduates to decide we want to go into education versus maybe some of the other fields. And I know it's a little late sometime when you're talking to a junior or senior, but I personally didn't go into education until my junior or senior year of college. I have a history degree and political science degree, and I began thinking about education my junior or senior year. So I kind of took an untraditional path by getting my license after I already had a bachelor's degree, and then later on getting advanced degrees. And we can do that. There are a lot of people coming out of the military. They're disciplined. They're leaders. They know about teamwork. We will have some approaches to deal with military. And again, it's not going to happen all in one day. We know this. And again, that's why we need more able bodies, more talent, more skill. We are going to be having a meeting tomorrow night on Zoom. That link is found in the newsletter on the Metro CAPC webpage so that you can get into our Zoom at 7 p.m. tomorrow. So I welcome anybody. We welcome anybody who wants to come as a male. We're not going to say black, okay? We're going to say a male that is interested in learning more about us and seeing where they fit in order to help us make this happen.
Okay, now I will say, if Pam, just a second, if Pam is watching the show right now, I'm gonna put her to work in lieu of Felicia not being here. Feel free to put those websites into the chat, and I do also want to say what's going on to my sis Lauren Forbes is watching. Hey sis, and happy birthday to you the other day. Also, my mom, she's watching, and I knew she was gonna, especially when she found out what the topic was going to be, because she was a lifelong teacher in the Cleveland school system. She taught her entire career at one elementary school, Bolton Elementary School, of which she retired. She began her teaching career there and retired. And what I wanted to ask both of you, when I went to school, and I'm a product of the Cleveland School District. When I went to elementary school, I went to Adlai Stevenson, I went to Whitney Young, I went to John F. Kennedy. We had loads of Black teachers all throughout, but that was in the 70s, the early 70s, late 60s. I'm showing my age. Late 60s, early 70s, to mid 70s, and then to the late 70s. Into the 80s, graduated from high school. But what happened to all that talent? What happened to all that Black talent of teachers? And we had some really good teachers all throughout those years in the Cleveland school system. What happened to that talent? How did we lose those people?
I'll try to address it first, because I'll be interested in what Bruce's thoughts are. I think, because obviously I graduated in the early 70s from Glenville. One of the things that I found over time is that Black men and women saw teaching as teaching used to be really one of the only options for professionalism for Black men and Black women. When we found out that we had more options, that we could dare to be a journalist or go to med school or those other things, we walked away from teaching. And to keep this in mind, that white educators and principals and superintendents didn't care. Education became the province of white women for the most part, and white males, and there was no effort on the part of most educators in this country to say, there's something wrong with all these white teachers teaching these Black kids. And then they would say, oh, well, we can't find Black teachers. Well, no, you can't find Black teachers because you didn't make an effort to try to recruit them early on. And now the crisis is even more, because there are more opportunities available for us than ever before if we go to college. And education has become the last bastion of, well, I don't want to do this, so I'll just teach. And we can't even find, in my opinion, we can't even find people who want to deal with some of the challenges that education offers today, because there are too many headaches. And the lack of support on a lot of fronts from people at the top end of the education hierarchy.
Brother Ransom?
Okay, I was going to talk a little bit of history, like Professor Hill did, as well as my family's history to connect it, okay? As said, back in the 60s and 70s in Cleveland, where we're all talking to you from, it was very segregated, and it still is today. East side, west side. The Black teachers were on the east side, the white teachers were on the west side. I have a friend that retired in 2004. She started teaching in 1968. She was a white teacher. She got sent to the East Side because she was a new teacher. And they also sent the few white teachers to the East Side for punishment. This is out of the mouth of people before me. I am the youngest of my parents' 5 children. I graduated in '88 from Cleveland Public Schools as well. And my first oldest sister graduated from Collinwood in 72, 76, 79, and brother from Glenville in 81. I would have gone to Glenville, but I was at the magnet school, Cleveland School of Science, downtown. And what happened with the many of their teachers, according to what they told me, because I met some of them as a young adult as a teacher, if they were good in the classroom and they didn't disappear from the district, they became principals and assistant principals. So that was one part of the brain drain, so to speak. And as Dr. Hill's talking about the frustrations and the lack of support, I have at least 3 books in me as an educator in my 27 years. My first 10 years, South High School, when we had lots of kids in Cleveland, we had 1,800 kids in the school, therefore you needed more teachers. Our population has shrunk as a city, and many African Americans have chosen other fields because they're not just limited to education. And then, like you were saying, the lack of support at times has occurred. As far as discipline of students, the No Child Left Behind and what it did with evaluations later on and people being evaluated by grades on tests, those are things that ran people away from my perspective as well. But again, everybody, no matter what they are, and you guys have seen the signs, when they read a sign, they say you have to thank a teacher for being able to read that sign. So we as a society, if we say education is important, need to start paying for it, and not just paying for it, because honestly, I've never had any problem with the pay. I've had more of a problem with the working conditions. Going from a sub at $65 a day in Cleveland in 1994, before I got a teaching license, to what I make right now, which I'm happy with the pay. I'm happy with the benefits. We got to let the kids know this is a viable way to give back to your society. This is a viable way to raise your family, have a roof over your head, have a car, and the things that we quote unquote value and need and want. And also, that used to be a bonus where people had that 2-3 months off in the summer, and people be like, wow, you don't have to do anything, you're still getting paid. Well, the reality is your paycheck got broken up and you got a story for every other day to justify why you got that paycheck if you were doing your job.
well, let me ask you this, Mr. Ransom. Talking to a lot of teachers, part of what they have to deal with is support on the home side of each individual child. And I know we might be a little ways away from the days that I was at school and when the PTA was very active with the Parent Teachers Association, because it was nothing for my mother and father was a phone call away. If I was up in there clowning, they were coming to see, oh, please don't let my father have to show up there. Mm-hmm. I was hoping to see my mother. And I knew she was at work teaching other people's kids. Mm-hmm. So more than likely, it was my father. And that was a problem. Mm-hmm. But the problem was with me. My father wasn't coming up there to turn out and turn up and act wild in the school. But tell me a little bit about the struggle of on the parental end. And I know that some schools have a better relationship with parents in their communities, but some don't. So can you talk to me about that just a little bit?
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm sure because the world is so small, somebody that I taught or somebody's child that I taught is listening to this radio call. Okay, in my 27 years, remember, teaching 10, 5 in administration, and I've been back in the classroom since 2010, 11. I would say I'm very, very fortunate and blessed. 95% of the parents that I've had to call or interact with have been supportive of me and what I was talking to them about with their child. I may be the exception to the rule. And then I'm going to talk a little bit outside of me, but I know me better than anybody. So I find that 95% is great. And that means the phone call to say, Johnny just won't be quiet. Johnny won't sit down. All those types of things that teachers call parents for. And parents have been pretty much in most assignments I've been in, my last resort, because I try to handle it in the classroom. And by no sense of imagination am I going to say that every class that you would walk in over my 21 years or whatever in the classroom was totally smooth, perfect, quiet as an angel. I'm not going to play that way because I deal with human beings and that would be untrue. But let's talk about right now, before I transition quickly to those other people who might not be able to say that 95% of their parents have been extremely supportive. The 5% who have not been as supportive, that might be that parent that I believe you guys were alluding to, that would be challenging you and saying, what did you do wrong as an adult? My kid said this, that, and the other, and they're trying to check you. Okay. I have attempted to handle those situations. I believe in God. So I pray. Okay. And before the conferences, sometime if it gets that way, during the conference, and try to make a connection to that parent. Let them vent because that's their baby. Okay. It's different if you're trying to be physical. It's different if you're trying to cuss me out in front of the kid. But if you're just simply angry, let them vent. And I'm going to give you a little example. And I see you looking at the clock or something. So I really will respect your time.
No. Do your thing. Okay. No, I'm looking at people are making comments and agreeing. So I'm looking at the comments coming in.
Okay. So one parent, this was when I was in administration. He came into the building. He was on 10 as far as intensity and anger. His daughter's phone had been taken from a teacher or by a teacher. And that teacher apparently left school shortly after the kids left school. Therefore, the kid couldn't get the phone back. And I guess they called dad on the office phone to say, Daddy, my phone got taken by Miss such and such. He comes into my office after the secretary told me, Mr. Such and such would like to see you. And he's up here in anger. I don't even know who the girl is because she's never even come to my office for anything good or bad. And then after he took a breath, I said, sir, and this was not totally the truth, but I had to say it anyway. That's a very nice tie you have on. I had that tie in my closet. He gave me the tie off of his neck. Okay. And we made it come together. Now, some of my colleagues may say, I've called Johnny's house. I've called Mary's house. Nobody's answering the phone. They're not available. We have to realize and recognize that even before the pandemic, our parents have a different schedule possibly than the three of us on this call. My mom was at home when I was in school because my dad was the only one who worked outside of the home. So if Bruce ever got a phone call home, which I never got one, okay, I had detentions like twice in my life. And when I told my mom about it, because I told her as opposed to them telling me, she looked at me after she heard the situation and she's like, basically, you're lucky that's all that happened to you. Okay.
Hey, now, well, Bruce, I had to tell you, okay, you only had 2 calls ever? Man, I had more than 2 calls in one day.
Certainly a week. The principal were like on first name basis.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And the fact is, we got to reach our parents through emails, texts. all kind of things. And I personally, and I don't know a lot of people that did it, and I haven't done it in the past 2 or 3 years, but I've done it before the pandemic. I did make some house visits in my teaching and administrative career.
That's old school
And
right there.
and if the parents see you or kid, I got a kid right now in my class who's in 11th grade. She was my 9th grader, okay? And I'm at Kennedy, if you didn't know. So I'll shout out Kennedy. And when she was a 9th grader for me, she was heck on wheels. She remembered me coming to the house for her sister who was in 9th grade from me when this little girl was in 4th or 5th grade. And I thought she was going to be an angel since she told all the kids that. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point for me, because if she tells them that I came to the house for her big sister, then I might not have to come to any of their houses. Well, I did have to come to a couple of their houses anyway. But my point again, she remembered that. And now I can see the maturity in her. She still got a way to go as the 11th grader. I haven't had to call her mom. That's a beautiful thing. And again, we got to invite the parents. They come for the sporting events when it's definitely not pandemic. So that's another opportunity for teachers to get a chance to know the parents and the parents to get to know the teachers on a different level, so that we can come together as a partner to say, I'm here for your child's best interest and I need you to help me out. And if you disagree with something that I'm doing, let's talk about it on the side as adults, not let's do this in front of the kids and come back as a united front. That's some of the things. And then parents have to, by law, come to school. This is the Cleveland plan, a certain number of times a year. And one of my biggest faults with that law is, even though we have to mark down when parents come to open house, we have to mark down when they come on a Zoom with us next to the kid in the grade book, there's really nothing that happens if the parents don't show for a kid the entire year. So that's something on the legislatures as far as I'm concerned. And to be honest with you, since I'm not trying to make friends, I'm trying to make people be partners. The district and the union came together for the Cleveland plan some years back. And again, if there's no provision that says, really, we have to mandate. And then again, as a society, what we can do and should be doing is going to those businesses and saying, let's make sure the parents can get some time, if they need it, off for a parent-teacher conference before the kid gets in trouble, so that they're not punished where they're losing their job over having to come up to the school
Bruce,
for something positive or negative.
Do you think there's a difference when you show up at a kid's house versus a woman showing up at the house?
I've been called crazy for doing it. Let me just say that. And I've never feared going anywhere. I'm a city of Cleveland person. I don't do things that are going to help hopefully put me out there. And I definitely feel that it will be looked at differently. And that's just the reality of, it's this dude coming up to my door versus somebody else. Because again, I'm not a big man. I'm 5'8", 165 pounds. But it says something different. It does say you care. And it also says I ain't scared.
Right. Certainly if you show up to the house. And I want to tell you, one, Professor Hill and I are members of the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists, of which I am honored to currently serve as president of. And oftentimes as an organization, we get invited to go to schools to speak to many of our kids at various schools. And certainly we have, the big name members, Leon Bibb, Harry Boomer, Russ Mitchell. But, we have other members who also go and speak to kids of all grades. And I want to tell you, I'm a product of John F. Kennedy High School. So I will make the commitment, if you and you now can reach out to me anytime that I'm needed to come and speak to kids at the school. Do not hesitate to call me. I make that promise to you.
I thank you. On behalf of Dr. Terrence Menifee, our principal, who I'm sure would not mind, he's also a graduate of Kennedy. You're welcome, and we will put something together.
Hey, Justice, you might like this one, and Brother Ransom, Principal Menifee. I certainly know that he's a graduate of John F. Kennedy, and he's a little younger than I am. But we both go back to the old school hip hop days.
Okay.
When I hear about Principal Terrence Menifee, I think of Spoonie T and the Party Crashers. So if you see him, you say, I heard you were DJ Spoonie T from the Party Crashers. He's gonna say, you've been talking to that doggone Chill. But I'm proud of Principal Menifee. All of my brothers who go back in the early days of Cleveland hip hop, to see them doing things like that are transitions that we all should make. And I do want to ask Justice a question. Well, one, let me say what's up. Also, we've been joined by my brother Trent Hemphill, who is out of town. He's not in. He's out of state. I don't know. He was in Texas. He got a big job. He's somewhere else, but he always watches the show, and he's from the Lee Harvard neighborhood. Anybody that's watching the show right now, please share the show. If you have any comments, you can ask questions to any of these two brothers on here. Please do so. I'll make sure I try to keep my eye on the chat and post and ask you guys any questions. I do want to remind the people that we are going to give away those tickets to the new film starring Will Smith, King Richard. The screening will be on Monday. So Brother Ransom and Brother Hill, be thinking of some questions relating to teaching or school or education or something.
I've got one right now.
Oh,
the first one who can name the superintendent of Cleveland Metropolitan School District.
Oh, see, that's how you gonna do the people. Okay, now all they gotta do actually is really be quick on Google. But the first person, and we have Denise Likes in the building. How you doing, Denise? The first person to hit us back in the chat to tell us who is the superintendent of Cleveland Public Schools, you will win a pair of, Pam Mason. I don't even know. She's quick. Pam answered the question already. Eric Gordon is the answer she gave.
I got one.
Okay, hold on, Bruce. Let's get okay. Pam. What you need to do is send your email to Felicia or myself, and I will send that to the representative of the movie advertising company, our good friend Kim Moss at the advertising company, the Owens Group, who's worked with us forever, even back to our call and post days. And Pam, you will get 2 free passes to the film. It's at Crocker Park. It's on Monday, 7 o'clock. The free ticket does not guarantee you a seat, so get there ahead of time. If you show up and it's full, don't be up there acting up, talking about Chill said I gotta. Yeah, no, get there early, and thank you for tuning in. Okay, so we're ready to give away another one because Brother Ransom has
a question. Yeah.
Okay. Currently, the Board of Education is located on Superior Avenue. Where was the Board of Education at least the last 25 years before it moved? You can give us the cross streets. You don't have to give us the exact address.
Can they give you the cross streets address or what's there now?
There you go.
Yeah, what's there now?
What's there now? So you have a couple of choices. What is the location of the former Board of Education building, the cross streets, or what is there currently? So the first person that is able to come up with that answer will also win a free pair of tickets. But Professor Hill, go ahead, sir.
Bruce, Kevin mentioned that we were both part of this organization, National Association of Black Journalists. Because we have a similar challenge that you guys face. as how to bring more people of color into the business. And it is for the same reason that, for bad or good, that Black youth have more options available for them than ever before. So journalism is just a piece, and education is just a piece. We've got to do something to make those jobs more attractive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, great. Justice Hill, I just wanted to ask you this, because this was something that your brother Ransom brought up about. Oftentimes now kids go through grade school never seeing or having a Black instructor. With you being an instructor on a college level, which we probably see even less Black faces in the teaching. How is it? What importance do you see on a college level of students, of Black students, walking in and seeing a person who looks more like them? What is that feeling? Have you gotten a chance to talk to them, or what do you even perceive your representation in the classroom at a college level? What difference does that make to Black students in higher education?
One of the things I think is important is that white students as well need to understand that Black people have the intellectual bandwidth to teach them. One of the questions I asked students quite a bit was, when I was in the classroom, has you ever had a Black teacher before? So you have all these white students who come to a school like Ohio University, and they have never had a Black Black teacher before. Well, a lot of Black students feel that somewhat the same way, but it's hard for them to go through a Cleveland public school or Cincinnati public school without having some Black instructors, Black teachers or whatever. But I think that they find a sense of camaraderie with somebody who's been in their shoes, who've had to go through the academic rigors that we're asking them to go through, and somebody to lean on. So you find yourself playing more of a mentor role in college than maybe you have to play in high school or middle school. I don't know, Bruce can probably answer that better, but in college, you're dealing with adults. And so the expectation is that you can be a mentor. So I have a whole roster of Black kids, young Black men and women who are in my mentor circle, that they just feel comfortable coming in and talking to you. And one of the things that you find even more compelling is when you're dealing with adults, that they sometimes come to talk to you about adult problems. It's about relationships, it's about other professors that they can't necessarily talk to with their parents, but in high school or junior high, middle school or whatever, I think those conversations are uncomfortable to have with an adult. I guess, I don't know, because I've never taught there. Bruce, do you have those kinds of conversations with students as well?
Well, I would personally say this. Over the years, I have grown more comfortable with myself. What does that mean exactly? It means with age comes wisdom. And sometimes we as teachers give out that wisdom when it's not asked for, and that's not always good, even if it's meant for good intentions. But the other way, when a kid does come and he or she wants to talk about something serious, if you provide them knowledge, that if it's a safe space, that they will give you what they want to get off of their chest. And I mean, I've had a recent situation where I had this student in 9th grade and 11th grade was talking about some issues that were very sensitive. And I'm very glad that they were able to feel comfortable with me talking about it. And we also, as educators, have to be mindful always that we are mandated reporters. So if a kid was subject to abuse or neglect and things like that, we have to make sure to let them know we're not your friend. We are a listening ear. We're not judging you, but this might have to go beyond us. And a lot of the coaches are very, very good, through my experience over the years at the various schools, of being, we wouldn't call it a mentor traditionally like you would say, but that's really what they're doing. They're taking these young men, young ladies aside or allowing them the opportunity to talk about some real things that are outside of the realm of algebra, science, and math and social studies. And there are a lot of people who do that, and they go unnoticed by a lot of people in the community, quite possibly. But your kids are, unfortunately or fortunately in some cases, they spend a lot of time with us. So that does really go on. And again, we have to build mechanisms in place. I think that you have to be deliberate. We should have some opportunities where you can have a group of 10 fellas where you just sit down once every 2 weeks and shoot the breeze, because those things get in the way of their education. And more importantly, again, when you're a listening ear, when you're able to give some advice when needed and let them know that certain things are not going to go beyond that room, you're helping make society a better place. Because it's better for them to talk to you than go out and do something that might cause more trouble for them.
Or get in a conversation with their best friend who doesn't know anything about
right. Brother Ransom, we know that you're hard at work with this, but we know you don't do this by yourself. So talk to me a little bit about how, if you know the history of how these two organizations, the Black Men Teach and the Cleveland Alliance of Black School Educators, can you give me a little background on a little bit more of what that is, how it came to be, and how people can support those organizations?
Okay. As said earlier in this broadcast, Metropolitan Alliance of Black School Educators, we will be celebrating our 40th birthday this December. The late Dr. Daniel Drake, who was a Cleveland Metropolitan School District principal, and he happened to be my principal, grades 6 through 8, is one of the two founders of the organization. He and a person named Ed Young, who was also a principal in the Cleveland School District. And the principle behind Black School Alliance Educators is to have African Americans get together who are educators. And our mission is, they were talking about equity before equity became a buzzword in the last 5 to 8 years. They're looking for equity for our kids. They're looking for putting together a curriculum and an environment that recognizes our unique nature. Not only that, it also prepares kids for the real world. So that's how the organization came to be. And I'm also going to throw another name out there for you to be as a possible host, because she was there in 1980. In 1980, I was in like 5th grade, okay? Her name is Dr. Mary Rice. She was a principal of Kennedy High School. It's just the Kennedy connection.
Sure.
She joined Metro CAPC because she was a graduate student and had to get some hours. And Dr. Rice was trying to get me to join Metro CAPC 20 years ago or 15 years ago, but I was more into administration and this, that, and the other. So she can even give you more real history from being in those meetings. Now, our current president, Dr. Robin Simmons, she is the person, she's a woman, but I'm giving the woman her props, who envisioned Black Male Teach, because she had a connection with the Minneapolis school system. There's a 3-school system in Minneapolis. And there's a gentleman, honestly, his name escapes me, but I was on a Zoom with him, one of the 50 million Zooms we've been on in the last couple of years. He's not an educator by nature, but he looked at the numbers of African-American teachers in those 3 school districts. And he had a passion and a thought process. We got to do something to get more Black male teachers. So they ended up getting funding. They ended up writing strategic plans to hire X number of African-American teachers in those school districts. So we're stealing from them some of their ideas. Now, Metro CAPC, Black Male Teach, is truly an umbrella. It's a committee of Black male educators who are gonna be, after we get done with them, members of Metro CAPC. And if you're a member of Metro CAPC, the dues are $35 a year. It's less than that if you're retired, and you get local and state membership in this umbrella organization. And if you want to pay more, you do $100 for the national. Now, I have the privilege of having 4 people, 5 people on the leadership team. So definitely it's not me by myself. just had a meeting last night in preparation for our meeting. These gentlemen are educators in Cleveland, Warrensville, and we also have a teacher who's at a non-traditional school who's a part of that leadership team. So that's how the history, and that's kind of the link. Everybody's saying black male teach, which we lovingly appreciate, and we're out there, and our name is getting out there thanks to people like Pam Mason, our treasurer, who got me to be connected to you, and I so appreciate her on that. And those are the things that we're doing, and that's the connection and hopefully the history that you guys can see.
Right, and I appreciate that information.
Bruce, is the mayor still nominally in charge of the school district, or is that consent decree been eliminated?
The mayor of Cleveland, by law, is the boss of the CEO. Okay. That has not changed.
So my question is, and I hate to get into politics, but it's important. Do you see a role that Justin Bibb can play in terms of maybe changing or looking at stuff differently, or should he follow the direction that the district was already going? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Now I'm going to throw this out there again. As a city of Cleveland resident, beyond me being a teacher, he will be my mayor. And I had the pleasure of meeting him on a Zoom some 6 months ago before most people knew his name as running for mayor. I found him to be genuine, and he started speaking about education in that setting. I was on with something called Education Cleveland, which is a group run by a person named Greg Deegan. And that's bringing educators together to do curriculum based upon the city of Cleveland. And when I heard Justin Bibb speaking about education and the value of education and what it meant to him, I said in the chat box, because I only was doing the chat box like the people tonight, that sounds great. I've got this organization that I'm a part of called Black Male Teach. Would you be interested in coming to our meeting? His campaign people were on that call. They hooked up. He came to one of our meetings within the next 2 or 3 days. And I explicitly told the campaign manager, I had never talked to Justin Bibb in my life. This is not meant as a campaign ad. We are working in this group tomorrow. It was maybe 2 days later on X, Y, and Z. Justin Bibb, to his credit, came on. He was about 6 on the agenda item out of 10. He introduced himself, spoke a little bit, rolled up his sleeves, and was working on our Google Doc and in our small groups with us. So I'm very optimistic that his leadership in the city will make him be more involved in the many, many things he has to do. Because I don't think, I have no knowledge firsthand, but I don't think that our current mayor has had many, many meetings with our CEO. The CEO's been kind of autonomous. And I'm not, again, making a judgment about his mayor, how good he's done or how not good he's done. But I feel like even though he answered to Frank Jackson, he was operating pretty much the way that things have been operated many years with the board and with his own team, things like that. But I think Justin Bibb will probably get his sleeves rolled up a little more like he did in that meeting.
Well, and Justice Hill knows that we actually were together when we saw that young brother speaking at a high school. We saw him at Collinwood. Is that where we're at, Justice?
Yeah.
We saw him, and I've actually seen him at a couple locations, and actually I hosted a mayoral debate that he was in. I was one of the 2 hosts, myself and Rhonda Crowder. But yeah, so we expect, we hope that this young brother will be a benefit to our Cleveland school system. Hopefully he gets in there and rolls up his sleeves and tackles some of the hard things that you guys face. So we can watch and see, but you know, we hope that we see something good that comes with that. I do want to also say you shouted out, you know, and everybody knows that I'm a John F. Kennedy supporter, and I love my Lee Harvard neighborhood. Certainly, I have lots of love and respect for Dr. Rice. Every chance that I got to come up there when she was principal, to lend a hand, I tried to do so. Wish I could have done more. And actually, I think Dr. Rice was principal when I was inducted into the George E. Mills Excellence Hall of Fame, the John F. Kennedy Hall of Fame. But you brought a name from the past. You said Daniel Drake. You're talking about Daniel D. Drake.
Yes.
Daniel Drake was my junior high school, my middle school principal. And he was a young man at the time. And if you had some problems as a student, you did not want to go see Daniel.
I mean, you guys know that there are more than one high school in the city of Cleveland, right?
I'm just saying, he brought up Daniel Drake, and I'm just saying, but to see a black man as a principal,
absolutely,
school back then was powerful to me. And I don't know, Dan Drake, like he might have been an ex-football player. He was a big dude.
I believe, if I know a little bit about his history, because again, I didn't know this when I was in 6th grade, but he and I are proud alumni. Now, I'm alumnus. I'm sorry to say this. You mentioned Ohio University, Dr. Hill. I'm a graduate, as was Dr. Drake, of Miami University, the Miami University. And Dr. Drake was a shot putter in college. That's where he got that size.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He was a big dude, man.
Yes.
But that was amazing to see.
Vice grip hands.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. To see a brother that was sharp, well dressed brother, carried himself. I mean, he was a role model. You know, luckily we didn't have to personally go see him that many times, but to see him walking up and down the hall saying, "Hey, young man, put your, tie up your shoestrings, put your shirt in your pants, walk up straight, look people in the eye." He would just walk around and say things like that. And to hear that from a brother was a powerful thing to a young student who wasn't used to seeing, black men in those type of positions. Go ahead, Justice.
That's the difference that we're talking about for young black males particularly, but black and other and Hispanic students as well, to see confident people of color in front of them leading something, guiding their lives, guiding their careers in ways that white educators can't do. Because I'm not going home to a white family, I'm going home to a black family. But to see that person as maybe my uncle or father figure or whatever, it's just a powerful scene. It really is. And we can't dismiss that by, and this is my question to Bruce, that I hope, and Eric Gordon, and this is not a campaign to get rid of Eric Gordon, but he's been superintendent long enough. It's time, just like Frank Jackson was mayor for long enough, they did their thing. It's time to look for new leadership, new direction. We've got a new platform. Let's take advantage of change. And I think this is what Cleveland Metropolitan School District needs, change.
Now you're gonna make Bruce say, I can only speak as a resident of Cleveland, Ohio. And
I'm asking him to speak on that. It's an important issue for me.
Right.
Because I know that, the test scores have been up and down and there have been some challenges and things like that. But sometimes challenges, just like the Browns needed a new coach, a new system in place before they started to play better football. And I don't want to compare education to sports, but there's an analogy there, or there's some things that you can look at and say, change isn't by itself necessarily good or bad, but sometimes the change has to happen in order for things to improve or to get better. And that's what we all want.
Right. Now I want to add, see, now my mother has gotten into the game. She's in the chat and she's trying to ask a question. Who told my mother she could ask questions to give tickets away? But I do want to say also, we've been joined by Ronnie Knight watching us. And although we asked a question, Pam answered it. we're going to make it easy for somebody to win a ticket because Pam Mason already answered the question. She already won 2 tickets. So the question again that is still out there, and we've been joined by a few more people, is what was the former location of the Cleveland? How did you put it, Brother Ransom?
What was the former location of the Cleveland Board of Education prior to moving to Superior Avenue? You can give us the streets, or you can tell us what currently is there. That was added by
fly the address.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever can answer that question will win 2 free tickets. And here's a hint. Look in the chat. Pam already answered the question. So Ronnie Knight, if you in there, you might can win a ticket. I know my mom's in there because she's trying to ask her own questions for people to win tickets. But yeah, if you can answer that, you can win 2 free passes. Come from us from the Owens Group, Kim Moss and the Owens Group, starring Will Smith as the father of Venus and Serena Williams. I heard his performance is powerful.
Yes.
So the first person to answer that question, normally we have our regular brother Adam Morgan and LaDosha trying to win that free stuff. So the question again is out there. Where was the former location of the headquarters? What's the word again? How you put
Board
it?
of Education.
The Board
of Education.
Of the Cleveland Board of Education. Where was it formerly located? The street, the address, or what is currently there? And you will win those 2 free passes. And the hint is Pam already answered the question. So, and my mother wanted to know, she said, question for a ticket, when did busing start in Cleveland? So, Ma, that means you done cut yourself out of winning a ticket because you're trying to answer, you're trying to ask questions. But speaking of busing, thanks to my mother bringing that up. We know what the purpose of it was supposed to be when it occurred in Cleveland. Don't know if that was actually achieved. And what does it have to do with the state of affairs of a segregated East Side versus West Side? What does race and location and teacher placement in Cleveland say now as opposed to when busing started in the district?
Let me answer before Bruce. One of the things that always bothered me about busing is the belief that all Black school is inferior. If Cleveland had adequately funded the East Side schools, busing wouldn't have been necessary. But we felt, because I'm old enough to remember when they were building all these new schools to keep people from being bused, that classes with 50 students in it was too many, but you go on the West Side, they had classes with 18 to 20 students. Teachers can't control a class with that many students. But if we had insisted that the West Side, that East Side got the same kind of resources as the West Side, there would be no need for busing, in my opinion. No.
Bruce, you want to weigh in on that one?
Yes, I don't want to ruin your mom's question, but I personally was bused in the 5th grade. And from a 10-year-old mind, I had no apprehension about it because my parents didn't teach me to fear something that was different. And when I went to the West Side School for 5th grade up to 6th grade, and I got to leave the school in March, and that's when I then went to the Cleveland School of Science, which was a magnet school that I met Dr. Drake for the first time in my life. I look back at the West Side experience as, yes, I went to school with Puerto Ricans and white students, and I went to school with some students who were living on the East Side. They just lived in a different neighborhood. It was just simply a school. But looking at that school in comparison to the school that I was in 4th grade, which was on the East Side, and Louis Pasteur, Glenville neighborhood. Again, shout out to the Glenville neighborhood. That school on the west side did look better. Carpet, the building structure itself, and the resources definitely were there. But I feel like when I went to the East Side School or the Magnet School, again, a spoiled environment compared to what some of my other people age mates might have gone through. I had teachers with doctorate degrees. I had Black teachers. I had white teachers. And I got an education because I valued education and it was presented to me. Moving forward, I have taught on the West Side twice in my career. Those schools were still in it was in the 2000s when I was teaching there, different than what's going on in our East Side schools. So I agree with, again, Dr. Hill. No matter where a kid goes to school, East Side or West Side, we need to have them funded appropriately. And one of the things that we talked about earlier, and I found this to be different on the West Side from a teaching standpoint, there were more parents up in your face if a kid was getting a C when they were used to their kid getting a B average. So we can't complain about anything that we can change ourselves. So what I'm saying in that regard is, if we are parents and our kid goes to East Side School, we need to expect them to be a B average, not a C average, using that example, and hold the kid accountable. And then by extension, when you talk to the school and communicate with the school, hold them accountable to make sure that you're challenging my son and daughter. And I find, again, as education has gone on over the years with the small grants from people like Bill Gates, the small schools, and this, that, and the other, there is money out there always. It's just, where's it resourced to? Who gets it? And why are they getting it? It's not necessarily just flat out, they're intentionally saying, let's not fund the East Side schools. So again, parent power, community power needs to come together and get what we want for our kids, no matter where they are.
We have the same, we're spending the same, we're paying taxes just like everybody else, property taxes. Our money needs to go where it's needed. It needs to fix our communities. And it's not like I don't care about the West Side, but I made a choice to live in the city of Cleveland, and I want kids to have the same opportunities to succeed as those on the West Side. That should be, when people talk about colorblind, that should be colorblind. The quality of education should not be based on color.
Well, let me go back to this, Dr. Hill. This could be another hour, but I'm sure Brother Chill doesn't want us to go for another hour.
No, we got about a half an hour.
I want to throw out this. We're in the state of Ohio. And because I've been in administration, not in a long time, but I've gone through superintendent program. The state funding of the schools from the DeRoff case, which was ruled unconstitutional 3 or 4 times, that's a big part of the problem still. So beyond what's happening at the local level, we got to talk to our legislatures and make them do right in Columbus as well, because the schools are not funded properly. They're funded on property taxes. Yep. And if you look at the East Side and you look at the West Side and you look at the home values, depending on where you are, there are some homes on the East Side that are much higher in value. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but again, I want to put emphasis where I can on what we're responsible for. This is the first year I've ever been in a new building in 27 years. My building is a new building. And I've asked the kids questions within the past 3 weeks about what they think about the climate of the building, what they think about the cleanliness of the building. And that's something that has nothing to do with funding and the aspect of you got to take pride in where you are.
But see, this speaks to a bigger issue for me, Bruce, is this. If we had a responsible school administration, those schools wouldn't have fallen into disrepair. There are schools in this country that are 100 years old and are in better shape than some of the schools in the district that are 50 years old. We can't let those schools fall into disrepair to the point where we have to tear them down, because that's waste of money. We ought not to be investing in infrastructure, if you will. We ought to be investing in people in the classroom and technology, not on just making sure the school building doesn't fall apart.
I agree with you that we need to invest in those things. And I'm proud to say that at this moment in time, 90+% of my students have their own laptops. Those type of things that, again, the pandemic, it just exposed a lot of inequities that already existed. So through fortunate, our tax money, because people don't realize that it is our tax money, through the CARE program, the school district and the city has gotten money. So I'm this type of person in my personal life and education life. I want the best, but I also want to take care of what I have. And then if I prove that I'm taking care of what I have and doing what I need to do, that gives me more ammunition and data to push for more.
Okay. Hold on, Dr. Professor Hill. I do, because we still have a couple more people tuning in, and I just want them to know that who we are seeing right now. We have Brother Bruce Ransom from the Black Men Teach, and also the Cleveland Alliance of Black School Educators, as well as retired Professor Justice Hill bringing the heat today. He's trying to get invited back. I already see how he's doing.
I'm not trying to get invited back.
They get invited back.
Passionate about education. Passionate about it.
But I also want to say what's going on to Stanley Sullivan, who's joined us. Robin Simmons, I think you talked up, is watching the show, and she said, "Hey, Bruce." My brother Tremaine Willis, from one of our supporters from Hard Pivot Financial, who, by the way, I said purchased these two books from Randall Gregory and from her mom, Nikki Gregory, a mother and daughter new author. And they were guests on Chill Talk 2 weeks ago talking about their books. He purchased 2 books for us to give away at the successful event the other day. So thanks to him. I also want to read something that Brother Tremaine just posted. He said, that's true. Property taxes do fund schools very differently, but donations even take those schools to different levels. He said, at the end of the day, Blacks have to invest in our own schools and education. So I wanted to read that to him. And speaking of invest, real quick before we let Professor Hill get back in there, like I said before, this is our 79th show in quarantine since we haven't been at the radio station. So we aren't running our regular commercials. So if anybody wants to make a donation to Chill Talk, to support Chill Talk, you see the Cash App in the chat box. Cash App $money to chill. You can donate $1, $5, or if you're bossing out $100, or you can just keep on watching and winning free stuff for the free. But since we do have more people in, this is probably your last shot. A question has been posed. If you want to win 2 free passes for this Monday at Crocker Park for King Richard, the new Will Smith movie where he's playing the father of Venus and Serena Williams. The question is, Bruce Ransom, could you say it one more time?
Well, I was just thinking, Brother Chill, since this is my class, so to speak, right now, apparently that other question was a little too hard.
Man, how hard can it be? Somebody answered it, and it's actually in the thread. But go ahead and ask another.
Can I throw out an alternative question?
Okay.
Okay. It's 2 possible answers that I know of off the top of my head to this question.
Okay.
There are 2 famous African Americans who graduated from the Cleveland schools, and they both were in track and field, and they went to the Olympics. Either who are they, or what schools did they graduate from?
2 famous Cleveland Public School track Olympians. Did you say gold medal?
They did win gold.
Gold
Definitely
medal.
one of them won gold, like 4 times, actually.
Okay, so you got a couple different things out there. If you want to win the free tickets, you can let us know.
No, both of them won 4 times. Two different. The other one was in 2 Olympics. He won.
Two possible answers to this one, and we're still, if you can tell us where the school board building was formerly, what's there now, or what the street is, you can answer any of those questions and win 2 tickets to the new Will Smith movie. So it's out there. I just wanted to get that one out. Go ahead, Professor Hill.
Bruce almost gave the answer away.
You did. You jumped out there with facts.
I was gonna say he blah 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 blah. I was talking about the deterioration of the Cleveland Public Schools, which speaks to the city's bigger issue of letting stuff deteriorate in general. Look at the old libraries that we used to have here. There were classic libraries. Some were built with money from Andrew Carnegie. I don't think any of them exist anymore. They're building a new library across the street from League Park. It's replacing, I think, the Langston Hughes Library. No, Hughes is relatively new, but it's replacing some other library in the area. We can't let property keep falling apart and then have to build it from scratch because we don't have the money for that. We just don't.
Right. Oh my goodness. Anybody, has another question, because this has been a really great show. Lots of information. We appreciate Brother Ransom coming on. Not that we're through yet, but it's been an amazing and powerful show. And again, Justice Hill bringing the fire with his guest host duties.
Please.
Bringing the fire.
Bringing the fire. I mean, he's in the trenches. He's in the belly of the beast. He's actually doing it. I'm just sitting here. So he didn't pontificate.
But you're doing a great job. But Bruce, talk to me a little bit about the other struggles because I know there are teachers that if they're not watching now, they'll watch it as the show archives itself and as I upload the show to YouTube. And I talk to teachers, often, and it struggles for many teachers, especially those caring teachers, because there's a thought out there that a lot of teachers are showing up, for the paycheck or just kind of mailing it in. But then there's some teachers, and I'm hopefully a lot of teachers like yourself have proven to be that have the love for the purpose of education and our students. But teachers go through struggles through this process of educating our kids. What are some of the struggles unique to being in the field of education to our young students right now that may have been different than what it was, say, when my mom was teaching?
Okay, one of the big things in education that it doesn't matter what grade you teach, K through 12. A lot of our kids, unfortunately, come into our classroom with outside, I would just simply say, issues. I'm not trying to judge families or anything like that, but the reality is if there are challenges within that home, be they economic, be they instability based upon the fact that maybe one of the parents or both of the parents' relationship is not tight, our kids are coming into that situation or being in that situation, which is traumatic. Again, this is not every kid, but many of the kids come through those type of situations. And we as caring educators, we see that. We realize and recognize that some of our children don't eat properly. And when those type of basic human needs are not met, I can talk up a storm about whatever my subject is, it's not going to register. It's not going to be what they care about. So we got to, again, as a society, help people who need help and provide them opportunities, whether it's job training, whether it's parenting skills, whether it's opportunities to learn how to communicate better. Again, that's Pollyanna. But now let's talk about getting them into the door. Many of our kids are at a deficit educationally. The research has proven over the years that when you read to children at a very young age, their vocabulary is so much bigger than a kid when they're starting school who hasn't had books read to him or her, hasn't heard words other than 3-letter words and 4-letter words. And again, not putting it all on the pandemic, but I was just looking today at data for what's called an NWA test in our building. And our kids are literally 2 or 3 grades behind because they haven't been in school full time in the past 2.5 years. So we got to have the basics, the ability to teach them to read and write and computate, the old reading, writing, arithmetic.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we have to do is build a bridge between the real world and prepare them not for a specific job, but prepare them with soft skills. Hello, thank you, excuse me, and how to navigate that, and then build that into, if you are able to pass these tests, if you're able to do this, this, and that, and the other, you're making yourself employable, and the employment opportunities are abundant. And everybody doesn't need to go to college. We need to have people have opportunities for vacation, vocational training, military, and all those options. And we need to bring in people that are in those fields into our schools to show the kids this is a reality, and these are the things that you need to do in order to take care of yourself and be a productive member of society.
Okay.
That's some of my answers. I could go on, but I won't.
That was a great answer. And Brother Tremaine said in the chat, just added that he also thinks that our kids need to start becoming financially literate.
Absolutely.
Talking about financial literacy. And he said, what about business? And he starts, what about business and entrepreneurship? And I'm gonna go to Justice Hill. But when you said they were doing something about NWA, I'm like, what does Eazy-E and Ice Cube got to do with this? Okay, but no, Brother Justice Hill, go ahead.
Not only, and Bruce is absolutely right. We did in college, we did a program where we brought in a bank, and it was Chase. They weren't allowed to sell any product. They were just there to teach students how to manage their dollars and the value of credit. They were able to point out to people that if you don't have credit, what this means to you. And if you have bad credit, what it means to you. After that program was over, those kids came up to them and said, can I get some literature about Chase? They weren't allowed to say it because we asked them when he came in,
right,
not to pitch Chase, but they wanted to know. My question has always been, why does the Cleveland Metropolitan School District or any school district do those kinds of things with kids who are 16, 17 years old, explaining to them, get a bank account, learn how to use a credit card, learn how to do those skills that maybe shouldn't be, because you can do that outside of the classroom. You can do that as an after-school program. But those things are too important because we end up paying more. For example, look at all the payday loans that are in our district. Go to Beechwood and see how many those. They don't
allow those. They don't allow those.
Well, we shouldn't either, because at the rate of the interest that we pay for those loans, we shouldn't allow it either. But if those are the only options that you think are available to you, that's where you go. And we can't have that. The little bit of if I only make $100 or $250 a week take home, I shouldn't want 125 of those dollars to go to the payday loan. I want all that money to go into my household. And those payday loans companies exist because of, I hate to say it, it's because of people of color or poor people in general. And we have to do a better job of keeping that from happening.
Right. And just to add, even in the regular banking system, it pays to be financially literate and know how to balance your money, because even in the bank, with overdraft charges, there's that thing of the $50 candy bar. You overdraft that candy bar, and you got to pay $50 for overdraft. And Tremaine in here, he's burning up in the chat now. I think he doesn't want to try to win those free tickets, but I might give him the free tickets anyway for just participating. He says that the corporations fund education, and it says they want employees. But you know what, Tremaine, since you have been so good in the chat, and I will make sure that you, if you want, that you will also get 2 free passes to that Will Smith movie. A lot of people are in the chat and they don't want to answer the questions, but that's all right. I'll give the free tickets to my friends, but no, I won't give them to my friends. We still have some more time. We'll do it on the Chill Talk page or on the Instagram page. But no, we've been, and one more question, as we bring this to a close, it's probably an elephant in the room of education in city schools. But like my friend Wujao said, I like elephants. And if I see one in the room, I'm going to address it. And that is, a lot of these kids have to go through quote unquote gang territory or gang affiliations to get to school, to be a part of their neighborhood. Does that ever interject itself in day-to-day activities of the school system, or things that teachers have to address?
I'm going to answer that question honestly, yes. This past school year, there have been more incidents that I care to name. And I've asked the kids, because our principal asked us to do it, as well as I felt compelled to try to find out, how do you feel when fighting is happening? Why are people fighting? Things of that nature. And a lot of things come in from the street into the building. So I'm going to put a challenge out there. Faith community itself needs to get out there, not just us educators, and find some of these young men, mostly, but some of the young girls are as bad as the fellas nowadays in that regard, and find out what makes them tick. People like Khalid Samad, who's been around the city of Cleveland for many, many years. I have
John F. Kennedy graduate.
Well, I believe first meeting him in 1997 when I was at South High School, which was one of the schools that was a hub for a lot of gang activity back in the 90s and early 2000s. He's a part of, if not the founder of Peace in the Hood.
Sure.
We need that. We need people that have street cred. I might not have it. I like him. Okay, even if I visit the house.
Hey, not a lot of people have street cred like Khalid Samad.
Right. But to get with these young fellas and basically let them know that that lifestyle is going to lead one or two places, and they're both not good. So that is my answer to the question. It's real, it's out there, and we got to start changing minds and hearts.
It's something that we have to deal with.
Related to that, I have a question related to that. Did the decision by the Cleveland Metropolitan School District to drop the dress code, did that have an effect on things?
Honestly, I don't think that had an effect on the situation that Brother Chill was talking about, gangs in the schools.
Yeah.
I do not. I've been through the school district where we didn't have dress code, did have dress code. And unfortunately, sometimes people are fighting because of what they're fighting about, not because somebody's wearing red, somebody's wearing black. No, I don't think that has a big factor. It may have a factor in some people's minds about how kids feel about themselves if they all are in uniform versus not. But again, that's a whole nother topic about individuality
Right.
and things like that. And I've been in an art school too. So the kids there might wear funny clothes, but if they're learning,
That's the important thing. Professor Hill, you've got some people interested in your background. Brother Eni Eret Sean Kalfani, a supporter of Chill Talk. And I know Sean has a new book out. Man, this book is phenomenal. What SARS-CoV-2 Taught Me. Man, please, anybody interested in cutting through all of the drama, the misinformation, disinformation, and getting to the real information about this virus and pandemic and how we deal with it, especially as Black people, I would recommend that book to anybody. And I'm proud to have Sean in the chat right now. But Sean jumped in there, Justice, to talk about your background. He says Mr. Hill background is hard. What is that? What is that back there? How'd you choose that? What people have commented on that in the chat as well.
In what sense?
No, he's saying it is interesting. He likes
my background for the most part is I went to Glenville High School, graduated from Ohio State with a undergrad degree, 1978.
He's talking about the background of your photo. What's behind you.
Oh, that's Memphis. That's Memphis.
Okay, is that a famous street?
Bill Street. Are you
Bill Street. I mean, I know what Bill. I'm trying to tell you, get you to say it.
Oh yes,
and they make songs about Bill Street.
Yeah, Bill Street. James Baldwin, one of my favorite writers. If Bill Street Could Talk, I mean, that's
if Bill Street Could Talk. Yeah,
that's a wonderful book, and I just, I don't know. I had it up when we got on. I just
right
because usually I have my office, or sometimes I have the big books. The big books that I use.
Right.
You don't remember the giant books as a background. And sometimes I use that, but it's just something I had up. I don't know why I kept it.
You got Bill Street. Well, Sean is from Nashville. He's from Tennessee.
Yeah.
So he was really digging your background. But I'm saying the background of you, and it is
okay.
That is a beautiful background. Well, we get ready to close this out. I don't know if Brother Ransom or Professor Hill has a few more things to add before we shut it down.
Let's let Bruce have the final shot. Let me just say this. I really appreciate men like him who do, for the most part, I mean, he won't agree with what I'm about to say, but I think it's a thankless job at times. That people we don't, as a society, don't revere teachers the way we ought to. In some foreign countries, because I do a lot of traveling, where teachers and educators are, I mean, they are up there. We need to start appreciating teachers in a way that we don't. And Bruce, I appreciate what you do for the kids in this city.
Well said. Well said. Brother Bruce, go ahead.
Okay, I want to thank you, Dr. Hill. And I want to also, again, thank you, Brother Chill, for having me on the show. And I want to just leave us with a few words. Black male teach. We need people who care about kids. We need, obviously, educators, but we need other people in the community. Please go to our website, metrocapc.com. Learn about us, The second Thursday of the month, we will be having a meeting, which is tomorrow on Zoom. And educators from City Cleveland and beyond, speaking for them, but really myself, we appreciate that you appreciate us. And actions speak louder than words. So roll up your sleeves and help us help our kids, our city, our state, and our country.
Hey, I appreciate that. I also want to say thanks to everybody who was in the chat, who contributed. Big ups to Pam, who won 2 tickets to the movie. Make sure that you send myself or Felicia or both of us your email. Also, Tremaine, always thank you for your support and your contribution in the chat today, and especially for buying those books from those 2 sister first-time authors who you just saw on here as guests, and purchased 2 books for us to give away at the concert. And the people that won, well, you were there. I mean, he was there, so he saw the people who won the book. So thank you, and we're going to make sure that you get 2 free tickets to go. Also, thanks to Sean P for joining us. Sean, this book is super duper dope, bruh. We're gonna do 2 shows with you. We're gonna do just a regular show, and then we're gonna do a special My Cool Solutions, much bigger thing about this book. So, but we appreciate you joining us. But again, Bruce Ransom, thank you, man. And like, I had to piggyback off of what Professor Hill said. Oftentimes it's a thankless job. Like I said, I come from a family of Cleveland school district teachers. And even from then till now, education in this city, probably not just this city, is undervalued. I'm talking about the teachers who teach our youth, spend just as much time with our children, sometimes more than the parents do. Everything that the kids have going on outside of the school often is brought into the school. Things that are not taught or shared with the kids at home have to be redesigned at the school. Thankfully, in your case, he's mentioned, Bruce Ransom has mentioned where he is able to get participation from many of the parents that he works with, and whatever magic melanin dust that he's spreading around, we hope that everybody else gets that as well. The other teachers, but Professor Hill, you're right. It's oftentimes a thankless job when it should be the exact opposite of people that we hold in high regards. Teachers should be the first among those. So I congratulate you. I join Professor Justice Hill in congratulating you for staying the course and through your 2 organizations. Appreciate you, bro. Justice, you definitely getting an invite back. You did a good job. You did a great job. We will shut this down. Keep watching Chill Talk. We had Rose Bonner is in the building. She says, thanks for sharing this. So, propers to you, Bruce Ransom. Stay tuned for Chill Talk every Wednesday. Follow the Chill Talk page. Follow me on Instagram. Join my YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kevin Chill Heard. All the archived Chill Talks will go on there. They can be shared. Please, especially share this one in particular. As we shut this down, as we do all of our other shows, we'd appreciate you if you threw up the peace sign. We're up out of here. We're gone. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you guys very much. Much love and light.